Hey guys, I'm Carlos Colon with Georgia Perimeter Homes, and today we're going to be talking about real estate and can it make you rich? It's a big question that everyone really makes this blanket statement. Oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money selling real estate, or it's not always what it seems. But we're gonna dive right in and check this out and go through the specifics on can it really? Hey guys, welcome back to our channel for our weekly videos. And so, you hear this a lot that, hey, real estate agents make so much money, I'm just going to get my license and sell real estate or sell houses and make a ton of money and be really, really rich. Well, it doesn't always work out that way. And I think it's important to understand is what we define as rich or wealthy, because it's not really always what it seems. So I personally believe that if we're talking about being wealthy, I think we have to go back to spending habits and really talk about what we're really spending in order to get there. Because, truth be told, when we just work for one reason, is to pay the bills and really be happy. That's the whole point. It's not just, I want to be rich just randomly. Well, truth is I can make $0 per day or per year, and if I have everything I need to be happy, then I just wouldn't work, right? And so we have to really define what we're talking about when we talk about rich, because it's not always what it seems. So the first thing, let's talk about pay differences. So yes, if you sell real estate, typically you'll sell them on commissions, which means you get a percentage of whatever it is that you're selling. Obviously, when you're selling higher sales prices, so if you're selling $1 million home and you're getting 3% of that, that's a pretty good check. But if you're selling a $100,000 home and getting 3% of that, it's still a decent check. It's just not the same as a $1 million home. So can it make you rich, or can you get big paychecks? Absolutely, you can get big paychecks. How hard you have to work and how much work you have to put into getting that paycheck to actually pan out and get it at the end, I think is really important to take into account. It's the same as thinking about the difference between running your own business, whether it be plumbing or electrical or whatnot, and getting paid by the hour. You can make a lot of money doing that versus being a doctor and making a lot of money doing that. And it's important to compare the two, because as a doctor, you could make $400,000 a month if you're if you're amazing at what you do. But see, if your spending habits and your lifestyle means that you spend 360 of that, 360,000 of that every month, and you end up with 40,000 sitting aside. Okay, well, if we're talking about retirement in order to get rich, well, that's not really going to pay for your retirement that way. Same applies to a person that's, let's say, an electrician. If he's getting paid $100 an hour, $150 an hour, you make a lot of money doing that. Same idea. It all boils down to your lifestyle. Because at the end of it, whether you have $40,000 left over at the end of the month or $4,000 left over at the end of the month, it really boils down to this one question: how much are you actually spending to live for that month? That is the best way to quantify or classify wealth. So, as a general rule, I think it's important that we define how much money we're spending every single month in order to get to where we want to be. Okay, so also, if you run a business, running a business financials versus your personal financials are two completely different things. And so if you are a real estate agent, it's very important to understand the separation between those two. When you start as a real estate agent, those accounts sometimes are very convoluted, which means a lot of agents will just take their check and deposit it in their personal account and say, yeah, that's all my money. Whereas if you're truly running a company or a real estate company or an agency or a team even, then that's actually company money. That's not your personal money. Versus your personal pay, whether it's owner pay, whether you pay yourself hourly, those aren't the same. And so how you treat that is important, because if you want to run a successful business, it takes money to make money, and you have to understand how to set that up the right way. Versus your personal finances, whatever I get, money-wise every month, how much of it is going right back out to pay bills and all these other things that support our current lifestyle. And so it's important to flip that question really on its head, so to say, and I would ask it a different way, which is really, how much money does it take for me to be happy every single month? And I think that's the better way to really define whether it's enough money to make you happy. And then you can work backwards from that in order to figure out, okay, well, how can I make that much money and be okay? Because making the money isn't exactly what's going to make you happy, per se. You can have moments of happiness, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like that question of, I've never seen anyone frown when they're skydiving. There's certain things that just make people happy. But momentary happiness versus overall, everyday life happiness are two different things. And so just remember, we work to be happy, period. And so if you're spending more than you're making, no matter what you're doing for a living, that pattern typically tends to be the same. So I could make $1,000 a month, or I could make $5,000 a month, or I could make $10,000 a month. If I get used to making $10,000 a month, but I'm spending $9,000 of that every single month on bills, I'm broke. And it's important to really understand that. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you spend. And to flip that question around, it's really about how much money you keep. If you focus on keeping more money, then at that point you'll be wealthy no matter what you're doing in life. And so I would say if you want to do real estate, there's obviously two different ways to go about it. Whether you sell homes and help people in their transaction experience, whether they're buying, selling, investing, whatever the case might be, that's great. That's one way to look at it. Or you could do your own personal investments. Buy a home, flip it, sell it, or buy a home and rent it. That's another way to build wealth for yourself through real estate. And I don't think there's any right or wrong to each and every one of those. I don't think there's any wrong to even be an electrician, be a doctor, whatever you want to do. It's important to understand, though, your spending and your lifestyle related to how much money you make is really what's going to equate to that. Are you happy, or are you just stressing out every single month over paying your own bills? So just understand the difference between those two, and I think you'll start to find the answer for yourself, because I can't define that for you. Can you make a lot of money selling real estate? Absolutely. Just like you could being a doctor. But if you're spending all of it as you're making it, because your lifestyle and your spending habits bring you up to that spending habit, then nothing's going to change for you. It's going to feel like you were just working harder in the same loop over and over again to make the same amount net, because you're not going to be able to sustain that lifestyle as you get older to retire. So I would advise, look online. There are ways to retire early and make enough money doing whatever you're doing to be able to retire early. You just need to make sure that your spending habits are really where they should be. And as a general rule of thumb, the way that I've studied this and learned about this is, whatever money you make every single month, see if you can spend only 30 to 35% of that every single month on bills. If you can find a way to only spend that much, then at that point you go, okay, well, how much is left over for living and experiencing through life, or just put it aside for retirement or savings. And just see if you can control that and monitor how much you're actually spending and where the money is actually going. And I think understanding your financial thermostat, so to say, or where you are financially on your spending, will really lead to that wealth and that happiness that you're looking for. So, real estate, yeah, do it if you love helping people, or if you love investing and doing projects and flipping them. But if it's not going to make you happy, find something that will.